Hey everybody, I'm having another night vibe, episode 96. I decided to talk about comedy and how it's going recently, how long I've been doing it, and maybe just how I got here. As far as I don't call myself a comedian because I'm not. I think comedians at least make part of their money doing it. They do it as way more of a passion than I do. For me, it's almost comedy is almost a hobby, which isn't really that. I don't say that to insult other people, but it really I have to be honest about that. I didn't start till I was 41, and I was raised on comedy. I mean, I was raised early, and that's probably why I fell in love with it and why eventually that I wanted to do it. In fact, I'll show you something which I should have had more ready, but just a second. So I created this. I'm really proud of it. I hadn't been into acrylics in a while. So that's Lenny Bruce, and let me show you real quick the picture I used. So yeah, I mean it didn't come out great, but yeah, that's the photo I used. This came out of a CD I have, and so it's one of my favorite pictures of Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce is a hero for me. For those of you that don't know Lenny Bruce, you should. He is basically, you could probably say, the godfather of comedy, which kind of ties into my last video since I've talked about my godfather. But really, he paved the way for people to say things on stage that were not being said. He went to the Supreme Court three times, lost two, won one, about freedom of speech and censorship and all that. An amazing man. Unfortunately, died, I think, young. I know young. I think at the age of 39 or 40. I'm not sure which, of a drug overdose. But yeah, so he's kind of my hero when it comes to comedy. I've listened to many of his albums. I was kind of raised on, like I said, comedy through my dad. When my parents were first divorced, I was like 7, 8, 9 years old, and I would go to my dad's house and we would watch sitcoms. One of which was Sanford and Son, who, of course, Red Fox was very famous for his stand-up in the '60s and '70s. And then we'd also watch Chico and the Man, and I don't know if any of you remember that, but that was a fun one to watch. And that was Freddie Prinze, who died very young. I want to say like 22. He was super young when he died, and he was already becoming very famous. He was into stand up in New York, and he got discovered. And next thing you know, he's on a sitcom and doing really well. And then he also died of a overdose. I remember listening to Pryor albums with my dad on vinyl, Carlin albums with my dad on vinyl. These are really good memories I have of my father. I know a lot of times I portray my father not to be that great. We did have some good times, especially when I was a little kid. Um, and then my first comic who I really loved was Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy changed my mind as far as what comedy was and could be. When I saw him on Saturday Night Live, he came out in 80, 81. I was like 13, 14 years old, and he just blew the lid off of everything. I mean, that was the only reason to watch SNL back then, honestly. It was him, maybe a little of Joe Piscopo, and then maybe a little of Julia Louis-Dreyfus because she was so hot and funny. A lot of people didn't know she was on that show, but she was, I think, for a year or two as well, maybe a little longer before she hit the Seinfeld fame later in that decade. But yeah, I didn't start till I was 41. The reason I thought I could do it or think I can do it is I do well, like at family functions. I tell old stories and the family laughs their ass off because I'm just good at that. My mom thinks almost everything I say is funny. So that's part of the reason I think I can do comedy. And I've had some good sets. It's funny where you find the best places to do comedy or where your best memories are of comedy. I haven't done any true road comedy. I've only done two out of state gigs, and they were both like semi open mics. Well, one was a show that Reese Jenigas does. I don't think he does it anymore up in Laramie. I had a lot of fun at that show. And then when I was in a relationship after my marriage, I went down to Tallahassee to visit my girlfriend and did a mic there, which I was semi invited to. Once again, not a true open mic, but not really. I don't know. It didn't feel like a showcase either. I can't remember even if I got paid for it, but that was fun. But so other than that, I've probably been on stage about 1,000 times, which sounds like a lot, but I'm talking open mics. I was in the Comedy Works machine for a while. I didn't feel like it was going anywhere. And so I just bailed out of that. I don't do, and I've worked the Improv a few times in Denver. Um, and I've had a lot of fun with those gigs, but it's a grind, and it's not a young, or it's not an old man's game. It really is. There are very few people over 50 doing comedy that they either make a really good amount of money doing it where it's worth it for them, or they're like me, they're just hobbyists and get up once in a while and have fun with it. Um, the reason I don't know why, I think I just brought it up because I wanted to tell you guys about it and why I'm in it, and I don't. I'm really nervous that I'm having a senior moment, and like one of my early episodes of Average Guy Opinions, I talked about it already, but I just did an open mic on Tuesday night, and it's right up the road. Just it's in Wheat Ridge. It's about 2 miles away from here. It's very convenient, and I really did miss doing open mics because you get to hang out with people who I don't know are necessarily completely like-minded, but they are like-minded in that they all want to do well at comedy, and it's just fun to watch your friends, or at least your contemporaries, do well, and it's even more fun to watch them shit the bed because it's open mic. You're doing new jokes for the most part, and it's just fun watching. I mean, it's fun watching a buddy come back, and you're just going, what the hell was that? And him doing the same to you after you poop the bed up there. So it's a reason I enjoy it. It's a rush. But I was going to talk about some of the fine moments I've had in comedy. I was mentioning Tallahassee and Laramie, which were fun. But the best I ever did at this was in Pueblo. It's been 3 or 4 years. A really good local comic here named Jeff Cohn went with me. We went down there, and I think he featured, and I headlined. And Pamela Mae Sterner and Doug Sterner are very nice. They run a lot of comedy shows down in Pueblo. They're both around 70, and they're still doing it. They're both very vibrant, fun people, and they let me headline this show in this little bar called the Spotlight. And I was gonna do, and it just depends on those shows. You just do, you can feel it pretty easily. There's maybe 20, 30 people in there. And in this bar, they're about right around there, probably 25. And it's a very small place. It's probably like 20 feet wide and maybe 100 feet deep. It's a real thin, long bar. And I started off, and you could feel it. It was going all right. Like 10, 15 minutes in, though, I was thinking, maybe I'll go 20, 25. Oh, 15 minutes in, I was like, I've got them. I've fucking got them. And I did 40 minutes, and it all went well. And it's an amazing feeling when you can go out of your comfort zone, excuse me, and just have people I mean, even the bar staff was just looking at me, just watching, just into the show, into what I was doing. And that's an amazing feeling. And I can tell you that that's why we do it. That feeling like that whatever I'm saying is not necessarily important, but it's worth listening to, and it's entertaining you. And that's a big deal. It's a lot of fun. That's why we do it. Those moments for a hobbyist like me are few and far between. Those moments for guys that are really good at it and have worked their asses off at it are way more frequent. And so, like I say, I there are so many things I have prioritized before comedy, but I am lucky enough that I get to do the show that I do at the Mercury every Friday night. I'm lucky enough to live close to an open mic that I'm probably going to start frequenting. It was kind of funny. Tuesday night, I just got up and kind of ranted. I'd had one too many drinks, which is two, because I am a lightweight, as I've mentioned before in other videos. I had a beer, and then I had a vodka tonic. It was a tall one, though, and I think Mike is the name of the bartender over there. It was strong. And I pounded that right before I got on stage, and I just kind of just was loud. I forgot like not quite punchlines, but I forgot taglines to jokes, and I went up and just ranted and walked back and forth on the stage like a frenzied ape with syphilis. It was it was kind of ridiculous, but I had fun, and the crowd probably didn't. In fact, there was one moment where I go, you guys aren't laughing, but you're silent, which means you're paying attention. They're like, okay, that's not what we're here for. I mean, most of the people, when you go to an open mic, they might not even know comedy is going to happen. A lot of them are just coming to get a drink at a bar, and then all of a sudden they get a show foisted upon them. That doesn't always work out well. But like I said, I love doing it. Most of the people that are also doing it, I love. There are very few people I dislike. Hopefully there are very few people that dislike me. I don't know where, comics are weird, but I really love doing comedy. And that's another long one. I feel like I'm just kind of droning on the last two videos. I'm going to try to get into some stuff that's going on lately. I know there's some topical stuff going on, and I should hit that in the last few before we hit up episode 100. This is episode 96. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully you got a little knowledge of why I do comedy and what that's about for me. All right, talk to you guys soon. Much love.